Hello and welcome. My name is Zinzer, and today I'm going to be talking about who I think is going to be on the March 29th, 2019 Mythic Heroes banner for Fire Emblem Heroes. Last month I was able to get 9 out of 11 correct, and I completely dropped it on the Legendary Hero, so hopefully I can do at least as well again this month as far as predicting who's going to be on the banner, because I do not have a prayer of predicting the Mythic Hero for this month. So first off, we're going to go over some general rules and patterns, and then I'm going to get into my predictions, and we'll just go from there. So to start off, we've got our general rules. These are the solid rules that haven't changed for any of these events, just so you know what we're dealing with in case you haven't been in Heroes very long. The Mythic and Legendary banners will have 12 heroes, 3 of each color, and at least 1 Legendary or Mythic hero in each color. And all of the heroes that are featured in this event will be 5-star exclusive. These are the rules that they've done for every Legendary or Mythic event, and I don't see them changing anytime soon. If they do, though, we're not going to get any warning, and it will be a huge surprise to everyone. And just as a disclaimer before this, I would like to say I know that this is a Mythic Heroes event, that we are getting a Mythic hero, but I've been saying Legendary for a really long time, so if I mix up the two, I am very sorry. They do mean basically the same thing though, just Mythic heroes are used in Ether raids and Legendary heroes are used in Arena, so it's not that much different, but if I mix them up, I am sorry. So moving on, we have our Mythic patterns, and you see a giant question mark in the middle of the screen there because we don't have any patterns yet. We have Air and Duma as every crime show likes to say, once is an incident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. We don't even have our 3rd time yet, so I am not comfortable saying that there are any patterns. The only thing we really know is that they will be the godlike characters from the games that they're from, kind of like Duma, or they'll be OCs like Air, so we can kind of figure who it might be from a particular game, but we have no pattern to base who the next one might be on, in my opinion. So before I move on from the Mythic Heroes, I do want to put this graphic up. This shows when the Legendary and Mythic Heroes are coming back. During each Mythic or Legendary event, IS tells us when the heroes that appear in that event are coming back, when the Legendary and Mythics are coming back. So we do know these have been told to us. These are not surprises, and you can plan out a little bit when, like, if you have a particular Legendary or Mythic you want, this is when they'll be coming back. I will say there is something that's going to happen in April. I think we all know that because they've been building up to it a little bit, but you'll notice that Roy is coming back in April despite the fact that he was just released last month, and the people he was run with generally aren't coming back until May or June. So there's something there that they think we will want that probably has to do with his new Legendary effect. It's not going to affect us this month, but just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about saving orbs. Moving forward, we're going to go into the seasonal patterns. These are also pretty straightforward now. They used to be a lot harder, but now they're not, so like yay for us. First off, there have been 3 seasonals on every banner recently. There used to be 4, now there are 3. That's great, they're fewer, easier to predict. They have also been coming out in order, which also makes them extremely easy to predict, because IS seems to want to have about 6 months between the initial release of the banner, the Legendary rerun, and then the second run of the banner, as we can see with the Hairs at the Fair banner going on right now. Then the last point is moderately relevant to a discussion later, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it. If there are 2 units of the same color from the same seasonal banner, they will not be run together. Obviously that doesn't apply right now because we're on Halloween, and Halloween didn't have any shared colors, but New Year's does, and Reed and Gunther were both red on the New Year's banner, and so they will not be appearing on the same Legendary banner together. They have, even with 3 heroes, had 2 units share color. They did that on Hector's banner with, on Marth's banner, I believe with Hector and Alphonse from the Love Abounds and Spring banners, respectively. But they're not going to do it with 2 units from the same banner, and that will come up again a little bit later. So then finally, our general rules. These are the most wishy-washy ones because they're the hardest to predict. So first off, they give preference to units that were released after the October 2017 Genealogy banner. So what that basically means is preference is given to Gen 2 and Gen 3 units that haven't appeared on a Legendary banner yet. They do occasionally go back and run Gen 1 units, or I guess at this point Gen 2 units are considered old, So older Gen 2 units, they do occasionally do that, but it's not very common. Then the second point, there are at least 2 months after the initial release of a character before they are run on a legendary or mythic banner. That means that this time we should not expect to see any of the Kitsune or Wolfskin, and we should not obviously be expecting to see any of the Binding Blade characters. That does leave enough time for us to start seeing the Laguz units from the Radiant Dawn banner, though. So just keep that in mind. The last time that rule was broken was Siegbert on Ike's banner, so it's been over a year, and he had been released for 1 month and 26 days, so they're really close to that 2-month line on that. The third point has changed a little bit because I feel like it's more accurate now. They generally don't like to run units on one banner after another, after another, after another, but sometimes they do, especially if they have particularly good fodder or are a particularly desirable unit. So I've simplified it to say, if a unit is on a legendary banner, they will not also be run on another banner at the same time. This has only happened once, and it was on Fjorm's banner. I think I said it wrong last time. I think I said it was Gunther's, but it was actually Fjorm's, and it was Bravelyn, who, as you may notice, is the exception to literally every rule about these things. Bravelyn was run on Fjorm's banner at the same time she was run on another banner, and they had a crossover about 3 days. It has not been done since then, so I do not think they're going to do it again. It also really disincentivizes people to pull on the legendary banner, because if you can get a unit you could get on the legendary banner somewhere else where you're much more likely to get them in fewer orbs because they don't share a color with 2 other units, you're going to do that. So I do think they'll follow that one. It's not relevant right now as I am recording this, however it will be relevant tomorrow depending who is on the Bond banner, so you guys can laugh at me as you watch this and sip your Sunday afternoon coffee, tea, or whatever you like to drink. The next point is that there is usually 1 brave hero per legendary or mythic banner. And I know there wasn't one last time, but there have still been 12 out of the 15 legendary and mythic banners we have gotten have had brave heroes, so I think it's common enough for me to call a pattern, even if it wasn't on the last banner. And related to that, but again not terribly relevant, so it's kind of a side note now, if a hero that is in the general pool that is not a brave hero is going to appear twice on 2 different legendary or mythic banners, there will be a 5-month waiting period in between their appearances. And this is based on Micaiah and Sigurd have both appeared on 2. There was a 5-month period between each of theirs before they reappeared. So just something to think about if you're thinking I might not be looking at the entire pool or somebody might get repeated. Give it that 5 months. If they've been on a banner recently, they're probably not going to be on this one either. Then the 5th point here is in parentheses because it's only kind of relevant. Because last month it just kind of got tossed out the window. In the past, they have not run heroes who were released on the same banner, on the same legendary or mythic banner together. But that changed obviously last time when we had Adrift Female Corrin, Adrift Male Corrin, and Adrift Mikoto all on the same banner together after being released on the Adrift banner together. And I think that going forward this is going to be less of a thing, so that's why it's in parentheses. It'll probably be gone next month. That they're choosing from fewer and fewer banners as they've gotten more and more of the units out of the way, and especially as the older Gen 1 and Gen 2 units become less and less relevant with the updated BST and the new skills that are getting released. They're probably going to rerun the newer heroes and run multiple heroes from the same banner rather than going back and running older heroes, and they're not going to put as much effort into separating out the newer heroes, which can be both good and bad, I guess. But I don't think this is going to be as much of a thing. I think it'll be a little bit. They're not going to, I don't think they'll purposely try to cram all the units in together, but I do think that a lot of them will be run together in the future. And then the last point here applies to the colorless pool. Once a pool has been completely exhausted, it'll be rerun in order with allowances from the units, of course. So the colorless pool, we went through everybody in the colorless pool, and they did go back and start repeating it in order. I'll talk about this when I get to colorless again, but the next person in the colorless rotation is Elise. So if it is not a new unit coming up, it will be Elise coming up next in the rotation. Alright, so those are the rules, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the predictions. I'm going to do them by type rather than by color this time, and I'll go through and do them all by color at the end. But you'll see why I think it's a lot easier to go through by type, because some of the predictions are a lot more secure and it'll make more sense that way. So to start off, I'm going to talk about the legendary and mythic returns and the new mythic hero a little bit. So we know that Ryoma is coming back in red, we know that Lucina and Azura are coming back in blue, and we know that Air is coming back in colorless. So we've got three legendary and one mythic hero coming back, and then we have nobody in green, so we can tell you for sure that our new mythic hero is going to be green. That's pretty much all I really feel comfortable telling you about the new mythic hero, because I really don't know anything else about them. We don't really have much of a prediction. I've heard a lot of people saying that Mila will be the person, that green fits her, and I haven't played Echoes or Guidance, so I'll just take their word for it. That sounds great. I do think we'll get Mila at some point in time, since we got Duma and they kind of come as a pair, and all the legendary heroes seem to have come as pairs, so I do think that that'll happen, and she might be green, I don't know. But will she be released a month after Duma? Maybe. Will somebody else be released instead? Maybe somebody like Naga or Yune or someone like that? Also maybe, I'm not sure. So I'm not going to make any predictions on who I think it will be, other than I do think they'll be green, and I do think they'll have an Astra Blessing. We're either going to get an Astra Blessing or a Dark Blessing, because those are the two blessings we don't have for Mythic heroes, and they do like to give us all of those first. They'll give us one of each blessing before they start doing weird things. So we'll probably get an Astra just because it increases lift. That'll be more desirable. People want it more. People will be slightly more upset if we get a Dark Blessing rather than an Astra Blessing. And they did give us the Astra Blessing first on our weekly income of blessings in Ether raids. So I do think it'll be Astra, not a particularly good reason. But if it's not Astra, it'll be Dark, and I'm not even going to speculate on the stat boost because we've got all the stat boosts, and since I have no idea what unit it is, I have no idea what's going to fit them. So, looking forward to a green Astra hero as our new mythic. Next category is seasonals. For seasonals, I do believe we are going to have Halloween Myrrh in red, Halloween Kagero in green, and Halloween Mia in colorless. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. These are the three Halloween units that haven't appeared yet since Niles appeared last time. So they're the three oldest, they're all three different colors, they fit in really well. They're pretty much just going to appear. If you see a prediction that doesn't have these 8, I'd say that the person probably has a lot of wishful thinking or hasn't really looked at the patterns. These 8 I think are really solid. I don't think I'm going to miss any of them, especially since I didn't make a guess at the mythic hero, but I don't think these 8 are going to be mistakes. The other 4, however, are a lot harder, and I'm going to talk about them one color at a time since they come from the general pool. First off is red, so as I said already, we're going to have Ryoma and Myrrh in red, and for our third unit in red, I believe it will be Brave Celica. I know a lot of people have also been looking forward to the other really good red units we have, which is fair, because we have a lot of them. The other red units I think that are possible to appear on this banner are Adrift Camilla, Owain, and Tibarn. Obviously, the Bond banner comes out, and Adrift Camilla and Owain both have bonds. I personally think both of them will be on that banner, and if they are, I think that solidifies my point of Celica being the red unit on this. But even if they aren't, I think that it is more likely that Celica will be the third red unit than any of the other 3. And the reason why is because of the Brave pattern I mentioned earlier. 12 out of 15 banners is still a vast majority of the banners that have had at least one Brave unit. For the Gen 1 Brave units, Roy appeared once, Lucina appeared 3 times, Ike appeared 3 times, and Lynn appeared 3 times. So obviously someone got shafted there, and it was definitely Roy. And I think as the red unit, that makes sense. The red units get outclassed and power crept faster than the others just because they get released faster, because there are so many sword units in Fire Emblem as a whole, especially the Lords. But I think that Celica holds her own slightly better than Roy does, with Deathblow 4 still being an exclusive skill to her and being very desirable for a lot of offensive units that don't really care about speed. I also think that having Gale Force helps her, and with the 4 skill inheritance, you could inherit Deathblow 4, Gale Force, and Attack Tactic all at once from her. So she's still a good unit as far as fodder goes. So I do think that she deserves to appear, that she's not going to get completely shafted and just not appear on a legendary or mythic banner at all. But I think this is really the last opportunity for her to do that before she herself will become a little more irrelevant, maybe more irrelevant than a unit they want to put on one of these banners. And the reason why is looking forward at red, In April, we have the legendary boy band coming back of Ike, Marth, and Roy, taking up all 3 slots in red. So we're not going to have a seasonal, we're not going to have a general unit for red in April. Then in May, we know that Erica and Hreed are coming back, so we've only got 1 spot. And this is where the thing about Hreed and Gunthra from the seasonal shows up. Hreed and Gunthra will be up for being run with the other New Year's seasonals in May. And because both of them are red, they won't be run on the same banner together, so one of them will need to be run on the banner in May. So the May banner with Erica and Hreed will need to either have New Year's Hreed or New Year's Gunthra run as the 3rd unit. So there won't be a chance for a general pool unit to be run on that either. And then moving forward, we've got even more red seasonals. We'll have whichever one of the 2 New Year's units doesn't get run, then we'll have Hostile Springs Elise, then we'll have Grail's Devoted Ike, and then we'll have Spring Paula. So we've got a lot of red seasonals coming up, which means that we'll probably, and given how many red legendaries we have, we'll probably have a pretty full schedule, and we may not get a lot of red general pool units in. So it'll be at least June, if not later, before a red unit from the general pool has a chance to run again. And for Celica, that's really late. That's only about 3 months before the Gen 3 Brave units are scheduled to come out. So I think that might be a little bit too late for her. So I think this really is the last banner it makes sense to put her on. And I feel like it would be really kind of awful feeling for her not to be on a Legendary or Mythic banner. Because she did place first in the last Choose Your Legends poll, and she is the only Brave hero who hasn't appeared on one of these banners. And the Brave heroes, IS knows they're popular because we voted for them. So I think that she'll appear on this one just because I don't think she'll appear on a later one, and it would feel really bad for her not to be on one at all. So moving forward into blue, this is probably the one I'm least sure of. We've got Lucina and Azura coming back for sure, so the 3rd slot is the only one up in the air, and we actually have a lot of really great options. The only real options we have Igler, Nyla, Ophelia, and Quan in blue, who haven't been run yet. And I hate to say it, but Quan really isn't the same caliber of unit as the other 3, so I don't think he's going to be showing up there at this time. And given that blue is also pretty saturated in the legendary color pool, as far as they have at least 5 blue heroes, I don't know that Quan will be showing up on a legendary banner. So we've got Igler, Nyla, and Ophelia to choose from. I think it's going to be Igler. I don't have a really solid reason for picking her over the other 2, but Surtur was on the last banner. They tend to get banners out together. That would finish off the banner since Fire and Ice was a 2-person banner. Also, Igler hasn't been run on a single banner since her release, and she does have Speed Tactic, which is, well, not quite as desirable as it used to be, I think, now that Seth has it on his Refine, and we just had Lynn run twice. It's still a pretty desirable tactic skill, and Igler herself is actually a very good unit if you can get her. So I think she's good enough that she could be run on this banner. I don't think it'll be Nyla just because she's a little more recently, but it could be because she's got such good Ether Raid Spotter. They may try to put a lot of Ether Raid Spotter on this one. I've also got another unit from that banner on here later, so I know I tossed that rule out a little bit, but it still makes me uncomfortable to put 2 units from the same banner on the same legendary banner. And Ophelia, I feel like Ophelia is going to be the main contender since Ophelia is the oldest unit, other than Celica, really, who hasn't been run. She's the oldest unit in the blue pool for sure, she's technically Quan is older, but we're pushing Quan to the side, sorry about that. But Ophelia is a very good unit. The problem is she's been run on so many banners since her release that I feel like everyone who has her, or everyone who wants her, probably has her. She does have a good skill for arena. She's got the Rally Up Attack Plus, but she doesn't really have anything else for fodder that you'd want to give to your general unit. She's got Sturdy Blow, which you can get from Athena if you upgrade her, and she's got Chill Res, which I believe you can get from New Year's Break Yarn. So Ophelia doesn't quite have the same level of fodder that Igler has, and she's been on a lot of banners such that people who want her have her, so I feel like Igler will have the bigger draw than Ophelia. So that's mostly why I think Igler will be in blue over Ophelia and over Nyla. I'd say that Nyla has a larger chance than Ophelia as well, just because of her fodder potential. So in green, moving into green, we've got the new Mythic hero, and then we've got Halloween Kagero as the two we know are coming back. And then we've got an empty third spot, and green is kind of in an odd position right now because there really aren't that many choices. The three green units that fit my criteria of being released after October 2017 are Rajat, Alwyn, and Lewin. And I'm pretty sure everyone has forgotten that Rajat exists, which is fair. I don't think she'll be run, even if she is the oldest unit by far. I think she's too old and not good enough to be run. And honestly, I think the same thing about Olwen. I put her on last month's banner, and I remember saying that I thought that if she wasn't on last month, she wasn't going to be on one, and I think that's true. I don't think she'll be on this banner. I do think it'll be Lewin. And the thing is, looking forward, we're probably not going to have a lot of doubling up on green in the Legendary and Mythic heroes because there aren't that many yet. It could change. We will be obviously having more in the future, but for now, the green pool is replenishing itself pretty fast, so Lewin is the last one we have now who's available to go on. Caden obviously being the next one after him, but Caden will be available next month, and then the month after that, the Binding Blade banner units will be available, and I personally don't think Lou is going to get demoted, so they're going to have two from that banner, Lou and Sue, both be available in the 5-star pool to start putting on the Legendary and Mythic banners. So I do think they'll replenish that pool pretty fast enough for them to get away with not putting Olwen or Rajat on any of these banners. So I think it's time for Lewin. I know that I just used the almost exactly the same reason that I'm putting Lewin on here as the reason why I'm not putting Ophelia on here, but keep in mind that Lewin has Special Spiral, which is, he's one of two units that has that skill, Keaton being the other one. So it is very desirable skill. He is also a very good unit. And even though he has been on a lot of banners recently, I think the fact that he has Special Spiral and Odd Attack Wave and Swift Sparrow will help him out getting on this banner. Also, the lack of competition is another factor. So our last color, we're moving into colorless. I've got Erin, Halloween, Mia. Obviously, those two are going to be coming back. And then for the fourth spot, I have Leanne. Leanne is the only colorless unit who hasn't been run yet, who is not Valoria. So I do think we'll get Leanne. And she'll start off the Beast banner, and we can expect to see more of the Beast banner units in the future, by which I mean Nyla specifically, because Tabarn is going to have a nice long wait for his red slot. But Leanne, I think, will be first. She hasn't been run since her release. She's a good unit, she's a dancer. And the other option here is Elise. And I know that it's still kind of up in the air, well, it's still very much up in the air, whether or not we're going to get a mass demotion in April, like we did last year. I personally think it's very possible, and I also think that Elise is a prime candidate for that, as well as a lot of the other Gen 1 colorless units that are 5-star. So I don't think they'd run a unit like that right before a mass demotion, which makes Leanne by far the better choice there. I don't think there's a whole lot of other options for colorless either. I guess Brave Lynn or Brave Veronica would be the other choices, since the Brave units can go out of sequence, so that they have a Brave unit, but I really do think Brave Celica will be the Brave unit on this banner, so I think Leanne will be run in the colorless slot instead. So those are my 12 choices and my reasonings for why. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of them, what you think about Brave Celica, or if you have a favorite you think is going to be on there in either red or colorless or blue or green. And let me know who you think the new Mythic hero is going to be. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, because I personally have no idea. So just keep some of these in mind and some of the other options in mind as you look at the 3 spring banners that are running right now and the Bond banner that's going to be out on Sunday, and decide whether or not you want to spend your orbs on those or if you want to wait and see what's on this banner for sure. So thank you for listening, and good luck on your summonings.